What is going on, wrestling fans? It's IC4. Welcome to another edition of the New Generation Podcast right here on 10 Count Media. And on today's edition, of course, I have my co-host with me. It's Ahmed Johnson. How are you doing today?
How y'all doing today, brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. A lot of yard work being done as the seasons change. And we are heading into summertime. And today's edition, we're talking about In Your House 9 International Incident, July 21st, 1996, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And before we even get into the whole event, like, what's your relationship like with Canada and professional wrestling? Because Canada is a whole different ball game when it comes to baby faces and heels.
Oh, Canada always treat me well, man. Probably because I got a daughter that lives down there. But Canada has always been a good place for me to go. They've always been behind me. I love Canada, man.
Yeah, they are. People sometimes used to call it back in the day bizarro world, where the baby faces like you and Shawn Michaels would get booed, and then Camp Cornette, Owen Hart, Bulldog, Vader getting cheered. What's that do on the psyche though? Because you're used to the fans rallying behind you as a character.
Well,
now they're booing you.
They cheered me. Regardless, they
Every
cheered
time.
me. I mean, yeah, they didn't boo me. They cheered me, and I was like,
wow.
I had seen babyfaces going out getting booed, and I was like, man, this is weird. And I went out though, and they cheered me for some reason. I don't know why.
Damn. Well, you've won over the Canadian fans, because sometimes some people get the weirdest reactions, and sometimes people obviously get the traditional babyface heel reactions. But on this particular pay-per-view, you're the Intercontinental Champion. You're teaming up with Shawn Michaels, who's the world champion. And that combo for any fan is like, whoa, this is amazing. See the two champions together. And you're supposed to team up with the Ultimate Warrior. Now, that to me is a dream match scenario where you're like, okay, we have the three of the best. What do? We put them all together and they're going to be a team. But we didn't get. But before we get into what happens with Ultimate Warrior, what was your relationship like with him in 1996?
Brother, it was so weird. I had never met this cat before. Never seen him before. Never met him on TV. I have, but not in person. And he shows up to one of the events, and he goes into his locker room, and he says, "Oh man, come get dressed with me." And I'm like, one, it's an honor. Number two, I mean, I don't mind getting dressed with you, but that's kind of a weird thing to ask me. But I went in his locker room and I got dressed with him, and his wife was in there. And he was just like, man, schooling me to the business, telling me, hey, when you go out, make sure whatever you do, you stay at a good hotel. Make sure you do this. Watch this boy, watch that boy. Tell him what boys to watch. And man, he really set me straight, man.
Wow. That's great to hear.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I could today, if he was alive, I today would ask him, why did you call me in your locker room and tell me all this?
Maybe he was looking for a friend.
The connection was.
True. I think maybe,
he had one to me.
It's insane to think that, though, that he's allowing you to dress in his locker room, his personal one, obviously, with his wife. And then on top of that, he's taking you in as a friend versus stories you hear on other shows I host where other wrestlers or referees have different experiences with him as a hard to work with individual. But with you, you had no problems with Ultimate Warrior whatsoever.
Man, he was like, if he would have stayed around, he'd have been one of my best friends.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now. Because, I mean, why he called me in there and wished to school me like he did, I don't know, but he did. And I appreciate it, for a veteran to call me in and school me like that. And it being the Ultimate Warrior, I really appreciate it.
Wow. So when he was in the locker room with you, asking you questions, do you remember what he was kind of saying? Like, okay, give me the lay of the land. Who can I trust? Who can't I trust? Because I'm guessing he doesn't know anyone anymore because everyone who was with him is no longer around in the company.
Well, there was a few boys that stood around when he was around, and he was telling me whether I could trust them or not. I didn't know who to tell him to trust, as far as I was concerned. So he started telling me, you know, as far as the boys that were there when he was there, which ones to trust and which ones not to let fool you. Because some of them was in Vince's pocket, you know, and to go back and tell Vince everything you say. And he was kind of telling me, you know, which boys did that, and I mean, just schooling me to the whole 9 yards, man.
Wow. I I'm you know, I mean, I'm kind of lost for words because yeah, you do hear stories of Warrior, and there are great stories of his friendship and how he was friendly to certain people, but you also hear the other end of it all. And obviously you're on the friendship side versus the side where he can't trust you, doesn't like you, he's going to hurt you, because you're obviously also, you're both baby faces. So you're not going to wrestle each other anytime soon, at least on television. So it was fine. But while you were in the company, you were on the rise, and you hear that the Ultimate Warrior is going to come back at WrestleMania 12. What are your thoughts? Do you think like, oh, this is cool, this will help the company rise up more? Like, what are your thoughts on Warrior coming back to the WWF?
I did think that. I thought that it was cool, and it was really going to help the company. I mean, it's going to boost it by at least 20%. And as far as viewership goes, and I was very happy that he was coming because we kind of got a little bit of the same intensity, you know, going to the ring, how he runs to the ring and you know, like he's full of adrenaline, and I like that. I like that. So we were, you know, kind of in the same boat. I don't know if that's why he decided to talk to me or not, but brother, whatever I did, I must have been doing right for the Ultimate Warrior to call me in and school me. You know what I'm saying?
That's great to, yeah, it's great to hear, because you know, like I said, like so many stories are out there, and you're giving out the positive ones, which is great. But before this international incident event, he's suspended by the WWF. The reason is given: he missed several live events, claiming to grieve his father's death.
Yeah.
The WWF argued that, you know, they didn't approve of any time off, which technically means he's violating his contract when he doesn't show up to events. So they pull Warrior from this and they replace him. Now, the question to you is, back in the day in 1996, they were taping episodes of Raw like 4 at one sitting. So you're there all day long, you're at night taping a full month show. Well, with Warrior out, clearly you have to retape this segment with you and Shawn Michaels, and Sid is crouched out behind your backs. Now, take me
Right.
through that day, because when are you told Warrior is not going to be in the match and we're trying to find a replacement? What's your thoughts on that?
I heard about maybe 2 hours before the show that Warrior wasn't going to be able to make it, and I was wondering who they were going to bring in, but they bring in Sid. That was a pretty good substitute.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yes.
they bring in Sid, and that was the right substitute for Warrior. Would have been Sid. You know,
So what is
I
the
mean,
reason you're being told Warrior is no longer with the company? Are there any details coming out, or you're just finding out through other people
I
telling
heard it
you?
was financial disagreements.
Okay.
I heard they disagreed on the price, and Warrior's like, "You don't pay me what I asked you to pay me, you forget it."
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, that's what he did. I mean, he had made so
Yeah.
much money in the business, man. He didn't need. I mean, he was still making mega money off his dolls, his comic books. You know, he didn't really need, you know, a payday.
True, true. He did use the WWF as a vehicle to promote his comic book as well, which, and then, yeah, you know, Warrior University, you know, there's a lot of Warrior being a smart man. He's not a dumb businessman. You know, if anyone wants
No,
to say he's dumb, he's not. He knows what he's selling, when he wants to sell it, and who's he selling it to.
yes,
Later in the year, you know, he ended up in WCW. So I guess, you know, he didn't like how it was here, and he could get a bigger payday somewhere else, working less dates, possibly,
yes,
maybe, that's the way the business works. You're supposed to be, it's called a wrestling business. You want to get paid. Sid comes in, and what's your relationship like with Sid? Because clearly you're taping this Raw moment. It's you, it's Shawn Michaels, it's Sid crouched behind your back. Jim Cornette is somewhere else into the double screen, like how we are right now, where Jim Cornette's on one side and you and Shawn and Sid are on the other side. And like, is that the first time you met Sid when he shows up? Like, okay,
Yeah,
you're going to be behind his back and he's going to pop up and reveal he's in the match. Is that the first time you ever met him?
that's the first time I ever met Sid or during our match. I've never met him before. But he was a cool dude, man. He really was. I mean, he had his temper. Only if you bring it out of him. But outside of that, he was a good guy, man.
That's so funny to hear. Yeah. So after this, though, what's the reputation of Sid Do You Know Of? Like, there are stories that have happened before where, him and Arn Anderson got in this giant fight and the Scissors involved in stabbings and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts when they're like, hey, Sid's coming up? You're like, oh, man, is that the guy that's, the whole scissors thing? Like, am I going to be okay?
Oh, man. I thought about it. I did think about it when I first met him. But he was so cool, man, and you got to know him real good, man. But yeah, that scissor thing did come up in my mind. Like, is this the guy that stabbing the other guy with scissors?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's to a different degree there.
Yeah,
they could
when your name is Sycho Sid in the WWF, and then you hear a story like that, you think, oh, okay, all right, yeah. And he's had a history of he's had a history here too. I wouldn't trust him. I would be hiding all of the scissors in my office if he came into the WWE one day. It's like, hide them, just keep it quiet, don't do anything.
Oh yeah.
But it was a great replacement, because if you want your audience to feel satisfied with someone being replaced, Ultimate Warrior is a very big name. So how do you replace him with someone? And honestly, with Sid showing back up, who's been gone in the WWE for years now, he shows up. It was an equal footing, I think, for them. And so I, as a child, was upset that now we wouldn't get Warrior, Ahmed Johnson, and Shawn Michaels together, but we did get Sid replacing him, and that, I thought that was an even playing field. I thought, okay, we got the right guy here, and I still sad we get to see that match with you guys.
Yeah, I would love to work the Warrior, man.
Yeah, it was like a dream come true. If a little kid had action figures and they could put people together, honestly, I would have at that time in '96 been like, okay, I have to put Warrior, Ahmed, and Shawn Michaels together, because that's the dream team in 1996, 100%. So, it's unfortunate whatever happened with Warrior and he got pulled and Sycho Sid replaces him, but still, you're on the rise at this point. You just won the Intercontinental title. Now you're teaming up with Shawn Michaels, the world champion. How are you feeling through your confidence level? Because you're not a slouch in any matches. You are in high caliber matches right off the bat.
I feel great, man. I mean, I did feel, honestly, it may have been a little too early for someone just coming in, to the business, basically. I did feel like that may have been too early, but like Vince told me when we talked about it, he said, I can't get that intensity nowhere. He said, I can't find somebody to give me your intensity. He said, because when you do it, it's real. He said, and the audience feel that. They feel that it's real, that you really are that intense, and that, I guess I call it psycho.
You're also a psycho.
And that, they really believe when you give them that intensity. I was like, yeah. So I think that was one of the big reasons for my push.
It worked.
I had intensity off the charts.
No, it's there, and you're rubbing shoulders with established superstars already. Shawn Michaels, Vader, Owen Hart, and British Bulldog have been staples in the WWF for the past few years now, and now you're in there too. So it's all, raising each other up, and you fight Vader, Owen Hart, and British Bulldog. We've heard so many stories about Vader. How intense was Vader? How many times did he potato you in the face? But yet it was all good-natured fun.
Oh, just about the whole match with Vader was a potato. Really, he just about shot the whole match. He shot on us, but that's Vader. I mean, you know what you're getting before you get in there, so you can either take it or you can issue it back. And that's the good part about it is he don't mind you issuing it back. He doesn't go crying.
But isn't it supposed to look real? It's not supposed to be real.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
supposed to look real and not be real. But along with that, getting that realization, you're going to have to contact a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to feel some contact, especially like when we slam you. People think that they're bouncing on mattresses or whatever they think we're bouncing on. That's 2x4 and a steel beam under there. That's why you hear that boom whenever somebody gets slammed. Got
Mm-hmm.
that 2x4 hits that steel beam. And brother, getting slammed is nothing nice. I mean, it would knock the wind out you so quick.
Man. So, did you enjoy fighting Vader ever?
Did I enjoy fighting Vader?
Yeah.
Every match I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed fighting him every match because he was
You might.
throwing them in there, and I like that.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like when guys with a little snug.
Oh man.
You know, I hate when they throw a punch and you can't even feel it. Oh, I hate that. You're gonna throw a punch at me, let me feel it a little bit. You ain't gotta kill me, but let me know that you've been there.
On a scale of 1 to 10, is Vader at kill you phase when he punches you in the face, or is he at where is he on a 1 through 10 scale?
I would say he's at a 9.
A 9. Jesus,
Yeah.
man. He's the big man too. He's also the mastodon. Well, that was one of the weirdest things for me as a fan, because everyone knew him from Japan and WCW as Vader, Big Van Vader, and he comes in and like, he's gonna be the mastodon. Like, no, he's gonna be what? He's gonna be a woolly mammoth. Like, okay. I don't, and he's from the Rocky Mountains, but he's also a mammoth and he's woolly. It was always very confusing. Then they started I think on commentary, they just gave up on calling him the Mastodon. They're
Yeah.
like, we'll just call him Vader. We'll let
Pink
Vince
horn.
call him the Mastodon if he wants, but we're going to call him Vader, the Mastodon. We'll kind of shut that down a little bit. Also in this matchup is Owen Hart and British Bulldog. And unfortunately, when you look at this match, you and Shawn Michaels are the only two still here on Earth as we talk about this.
I know, isn't that sad, man?
Ultimate Warrior, Vader, Owen Hart, and British Bulldog all passed away. It's crazy to think, because what do you think is the reasoning that wrestlers around, say, this time frame, the early 90s and 90s, a lot, not a couple, a lot have passed away over the years for not natural causes? What do you think really is the cause of all these deaths that happened in this time? Was it drugs? Was it just poor
Well,
health?
it was being out on the road so much. I think that bothered some guys' health, and one of the only ways to get through that, man, was to take painkillers. So just about all the boys were on painkillers, and then you mix that with steroids. I mean, you got a lethal cocktail. So it was that mixed with other shit, and it wasn't just one thing. I think it was a number of things.
Okay. Yeah. Because like Owen Hart, obviously he died from an accident, so it wasn't from drugs or
Right.
alcohol or things like that. But the rest, it's just like, oh, well, Vader was older. British Bulldog died pretty young. Warrior died. It seemed like it was a heart attack after going to the Hall of Fame and saying his last wrestling promo on an episode of Raw. And the
That
next
was
day
weird.
he died. Dude, I'll never forget that, thinking like, this was the perfect ending. Like, I don't know how you top Hall of Fame, Monday Night Raw, big speech. Next day you die. Like,
isn't that weird, man?
it was nobody wants to go to heaven quick at all, but that was the perfect ending if that was the book that he was writing, because damn, how do you go from there? But all these guys no longer here in life, but Owen Hart was known for ribbing. Were you ever the victim of an Owen Hart rib, and can you share it with us?
Please, when wasn't I a victim of Owen Hart rib?
Oh no, which one do you got?
Man, I got to give you one of them. When I first got there, I had, befriended Owen and Davey, which was the crazy thing to do, because they're going to rib you. So I befriended them when I got there, and we used to talk all the time. And I told them that my fiance's parents were coming down for the first time. I've never met them before. They were coming to the match. They put them in the box up in the match. And so I told Owen and Davey, which I shouldn't have, because I end up having a match with Davey, the arm wrestling match that night.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Davey went and busted stink bombs. I don't know if you ever smelled a stink bomb.
Oh yeah, I have.
Okay, well, he went and busted a stink bomb on his hand. So when we arm wrestled, I could smell it. And,
Ah,
here we are trying to get the arm wrestle match going, and I'm smelling dog shit. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on here? And we're steady trying to get the match going. And then we finally got it going. And you know what happened from there? I won. Davey went off for me and this, that, and other. And then I go to the locker room real fast to get dressed. And my parent-in-laws up there, my soon-to-be parent-in-laws were up there. So I go get dressed, and my whole wardrobe smells like shit.
oh man.
They took a stink bomb and put it all over my clothes. So now I'm going up here to meet my new in-laws smelling like dog shit. That was him. And then one time we was having a match, and one of them went back there, and the music starts when you start the match, and then the
Mhm.
music starts when it's time to end it. And then when you're doing a dark match, so I'm back there. We're having a hell of a match, me and GQ, and all of a sudden my music come on. So I'm thinking, oh my God, they're telling me to go home. It's not good enough, so end the match. So I end the match. I get back in the back, and Mike Rotonda's the agent at the time. Mike Rotonda's back there cursing, going crazy, man. Who did that? Who the F did that? I'm telling Vince. I'm telling effing Vince. Who did that? And then you see Owen and Davey walking down from the sound booth. So Mike Rotonda's like, which one of y'all did that? Owen said, Davey did it. And of course, Davey said, no, Owen did it. And they're telling on each other. They were just a trip, man. They were just, I mean, they had the best pranks that you
That's
could possibly
amazing.
pull on somebody. You didn't want to make them mad. You want to be on the bad side with pranks. And don't prank them
No.
back.
Oh, I can't imagine if you tried to get back at them, what they would do to you.
Oh, no. That ain't going to work no kind of way.
Did you
You
try to
don't
get
want
him
to.
back?
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I let them ride, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it no worse.
You were smart enough to realize not to
Oh, yeah.
deal with the consequences of that. That's hilarious to hear. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's what I love to hear on the show about the personal stories and of course the ribs Owen and Bulldog gave to you. But unfortunately, here at International Incident, you guys lose. Shawn Michaels gets the Vader bomb. Vader wins the match, pins Shawn Michaels, which sets up SummerSlam 1996, where it's very famous, where Shawn Michaels is not very happy with Vader in that matchup, and it's a little awkward at times. But I had no problem with that match. But I love this event because In Your Houses, this is only In Your House 9. And this is when they started doing them monthly and then monthly and monthly, more and more and more and more. So suddenly, you're in this matchup, but this is your last pay-per-view match for a long time because of an injury that will happen because of a gladiator wearing a blue helmet and I guess a skirt attacked you. But what are your at this time, again, you are on cloud 9. You're about to become number 1 contender to the world champion, and then an injury takes you out of there. Like, heading into this, and then what happens after this, like, mentally, how are you feeling being like, I'm on cloud 9, and now you're injured, and you're out?
Oh, man, it feel like the world was falling around me. I knew I had that shot, at the world title. And then the injuries kicked in, and it was like, and I wanted to work past him, but Vince wouldn't let me.
Oh,
You know,
really?
yeah, he wanted me to be, well, so he could make money off of me. You can't make money off a lame horse.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted you well where he could, put you another angle and make money off of you. But yeah, man, I was very hurt, man. My world was caving in at the time, man.
Man, well, I'm glad you were able to share some hilarious stories. And again, as we brought up, this is International Incident 9. No Ultimate Warrior. Sycho Sid replaces him, and we get quite a matchup, but with Vader pinning Shawn Michaels at the end. And this is one of those international moments that I love so much. And I love this pay-per-view, and I love discussing this with you today here on the New Generation podcast, of course, with Ahmed Johnson, one of the top Intercontinental champions of all time, especially during the New Generation era. But that's another episode, folks. I'm Steve Fall. He's Ahmed Johnson. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.